Cynthia Rylant grew up in West Virginia. She grew up in the Appalachian Mountains in a very depressed economic environment. Because of this low economic environment, she never saw children's books, mainly only reading comic books. She became familiar with children's books once she was married, and graduated college. She worked as a librarian in a public library and finally became acquainted with children's books. In 1979, she wrote her first book, When I Was Young in the Mountains. She wrote this book based on living with her grandparents as a child. Rylant has said it took her only an hour to write this book. It earned an American Book Award in 1982 and was a Caldecott Honor Book. Following When I Was Young in the Mountains, Rylant made 6 more picture books based on her childhood experiences. Miss Maggie was written in 1983 and deals with themes of aging. Waiting to Waltz, A Childhood, was written in 1984 and was her first poetry collection. It was autobiographical, based on both happy and sad events of people she knew. A Blue-Eyed Daisy was written in 1985 and was Rylant's first novel. It is based on a year in a young girl's life. The Relatives Came was written in 1986 and describes how Rylant slept on the floor when company visited. Also in 1986, she wrote A Fine White Dust. This is a young adult novel that portrays a young boy who becomes a disciple to a preacher. This book was named a Newbery Honor Book. In 1987, she published her popular series, Henry and Mudge. A Fine White Dust won a Newbery Honor. Missing May won a Newbery Medal. When I Was Young in the Mountains and The Relatives Came received Caldecott honors. The Relatives Came and the Appalachia, The Voices of Sleeping Birds are each Boston Globe Horn Book Honor books. A Kindness, Soda Jerk, and A Couple of Kooks and Other Stories About Love have each been named Best Book of the Year for Young Adults by the ALA. Cynthia Rylant's book should be collected because she writes about her life experiences. She grew up in the Appalachian Mountains, which so many of our students can relate to. She writes about challenges that so many young readers face. She writes books that both girls and boys can relate to. When I Was Young in the Mountains is based on Rylant's childhood. The book begins by describing the grandfather, a coal miner, coming home from the mine. It goes on to describe a life in the Appalachian Mountains, from eating too much fried okra, resulting in a stomachache. This stomachache leads Rylant visiting the outhouse in the middle of the night. It talks about swimming in a swimming hole with snakes and pumping water from a well to take a bath.